The sky above the alien planet Solara was always dark, covered in thick purple clouds. In the center of the city stood a giant ship made of black metal. It was not just any ship, it was ancient, older than anyone could remember. It had no engines that worked, no lights, and no sounds. For 300 years, the people of Solara had tried everything. Scientists, engineers, even priests, all had failed. The ship stayed silent, cold, and still. The people called it the Sleeping One. They believed it was built by gods or maybe by some forgotten race. No one knew its secrets. Some said it was cursed. Some said it was dead. But deep inside, the ship was waiting. Zira was different from the others. She was young, curious, and not afraid to ask questions. Her skin was light blue, her eyes bright silver. She spent most of her time near the ship, drawing its symbols and touching its surface, hoping it would respond one day. But it never did. One evening, everything changed. A message came from the outer edge of Zolara's space. A strange object had fallen from the sky. It was a small, broken ship, nothing like theirs. Inside it was a human dot. No one had seen a human before. Zira had read about them in old records. They were called dangerous, emotional, and unpredictable. But this one was unconscious, barely alive. The council took him to a secure lab. They planned to study him, to learn how he got here. Zira was curious. She wasn't supposed to go near the lab, but she sneaked in. The human was lying on a metal table. He looked soft compared to Zelaran's. No hard skin, no extra arms, just a simple body with cuts and burns. His name tag was still on his uniform, Jack Harper. Zira looked at him closely. His chest rose and fell slowly. He was still breathing. Something about him felt strange. Not dangerous. Just different. She reached out and touched his hand, just for a second. Far away, in the center of the city, the ancient ship made a sound. A low hum, soft at first, then louder. Lights turned on inside the ship, golden, flickering, alive. The ground shook. People screamed. Alarms went off. Guards ran to the center. The ship, the Sleeping One, was awake. Zira pulled her hand back. Her heart raced. What was that? She whispered. She ran outside. The sky above the ship was glowing. For the first time in history, the ship's doors lit up with strange symbols moving, changing. The scientists were shocked. The council was afraid. They checked the cameras, the sensors, the data. Everything pointed to one moment. The ship came to life the exact second the human was touched. Zira stood in the back of the crowd, watching the ship shine like a star. It reacted to him, she said quietly. They tried everything again, brought their best engineers, touched the ship with machines, sent energy waves. Nothing happened. But when they brought the human close again, the lights glowed brighter. The council called an emergency meeting. This human is a threat, one said. We should keep him locked. Maybe he's the key, another argued. Maybe the ship belongs to his kind. Zira stayed silent, but inside, she felt something new. She didn't believe in fate, but this felt important. That night, she couldn't sleep. The image of the ship lighting up, the feeling when she touched the human's hand, it all repeated in her mind. Why him? How did the ship know him? Was he really the first one who could wake it up? She went back to the lab again. This time, Jack was awake. His eyes opened slowly. He looked around, confused and weak. Where am I? He asked in a rough voice. Zira stepped closer. You're on Zolara, she said softly. Zolara? He repeated. That's not on the map. You did something, she said. The ship. It reacted to you. Jack frowned. What ship? Zira smiled a little. The one no one could wake for 300 years. Jack tried to sit up. His head was heavy. I don't even know where I am, he said. How could I wake anything? Zira looked at him for A long time. Then she whispered, "Maybe it was waiting for someone like you." The ship stood outside, glowing in the dark, silent again. But not dead. It was watching. Waiting. And now, it had chosen. He opened his eyes to a ceiling made of glowing lines. For a moment, Jack thought he was dreaming. But the air smelled different, cleaner, colder. He moved his head. The bed under him was too smooth. The lights above him shifted in color. Then came the voices. They were soft at first, almost like whispers, but he didn't understand a word. He sat up quickly. His body ached. His chest felt heavy, like something had hit him hard. "Where? I'm one?" he asked, more to himself. Across the room, a wall turned transparent. Behind it stood 6 tall figures, blue skin, long fingers, silver eyes. Aliens, watching him like he was a strange animal. Jack's breath caught in his throat. This wasn't Earth. This wasn't even the same type of place. The last thing he remembered was his ship crashing after a power surge in deep space. Everything after that was black. One of the aliens walked in, not as tall, younger, a girl. She held no weapons, only a small glowing device. "You are awake," she said, carefully. Jack blinked. "You speak English?" She nodded. "Basic form, I learned." He looked at her closely. Her silver eyes weren't cold like the others. There was curiosity in them. Maybe even kindness. "I'm Jack," he said. She tilted her head. "Zyra." Silence filled the room for a few seconds. Jack glanced around. "What is this place?" he asked. "Medical holding," she replied. "We saved your life. You crashed." Jack touched his chest where a bandage-like film covered a deep cut. It stung a little, but he was alive. "Thanks," he muttered. Zyra stepped forward. "You touched something. The ship." It woke up. Jack raised an eyebrow. "Ship? What ship?" She turned and pressed a button. The wall behind her changed to a screen. A massive black spaceship appeared, floating above a city. "That," she said. "The Ancient One. No one has entered it in 300 years. It opened when you arrived." Jack stared at the image. Something about the ship felt familiar. Not the shape, not the design, but a feeling deep inside, like a dream he forgot long ago. "I didn't do anything," he said. "I was unconscious." Zyra shook her head. "You touched my hand." The ship lit up. It was not coincidence. Jack was silent. Outside the lab, alien voices grew louder. Zyra looked toward the door. "They don't trust you," she said. "They think you are dangerous." "Well, I'm just as confused as they are," Jack replied. "Still," she said, "you are different." The door opened again. This time, older aliens entered, guards and scientists. They circled Jack, scanning him, speaking in sharp words. He didn't understand. Zyra stepped between them. "He is not a threat," she said. "He is unknown," one of the guards replied coldly. "And the ship responds to him. That makes him powerful." They took Jack to a chamber with high walls made of glowing crystal. The ceiling above was open to the stars. And there, standing at the center, was the ship. It was even bigger up close. Silent, black, full of strange markings. No doors, no windows. Just smooth metal and mystery. "Step closer," one of the scientists said. Jack looked at Zyra. She nodded slightly. He stepped toward the ship. The symbols on the surface began to glow. Gasps filled the air. One of the scientists reached out to touch the ship. Nothing happened. Another tried. Nothing again. Jack raised his hand, slowly, hesitating. As soon as his skin touched the ship's surface, a deep sound echoed, warm like the voice of a sleeping giant. The ground shook gently, and then a line appeared on the ship's body. A door. It was opening. Zyra's eyes widened. "It knows you," she whispered. "No," Jack said. "It doesn't know me. It's calling someone. I just heard the call." Inside the open door, soft light poured out. A long hallway. Floating. Dust particles. Silence. The council panicked. Take him away. One shouted, the ship belongs to us. Shut it down. Lock him in. Guards moved forward. Zira grabbed Jack's arm. Run. He looked at her. Where? She pointed. To the ship. Inside. It won't open for them. The guards chased them, shouting orders. But as Jack and Zira stepped into the light, the door behind them closed with a heavy thud. The outside world went silent. The inside was something else. The air was warm. The walls pulsed with golden light. Strange patterns danced across the floor. The ship was alive. Jack turned to Zira. I'm not special, he said quietly. Zira looked around, eyes wide, heart racing. Then why? She whispered. Is this place listening to you? The ship hummed again, and deep inside, something awakened. Something old. Something that remembered a time before her people, before his. Something that had just begun to open its eyes. The silence inside the ship wasn't empty. It was full of memories no one remembered. Of voices long gone, of time itself standing still. Jack took one slow step forward. The floor lit up under his boots, one tile at a time, as if the ship was watching him, welcoming him. Zira followed, her breath held. Her footsteps made no sound, but her heart was loud in her chest. She looked around, eyes wide. No one in her world had ever seen the inside of this place. Even the most powerful scientists could only guess what was hidden inside. Now she was here. With him. The walls were smooth and dark, but they moved gently, like breathing. Strange. Symbols floated in the air, glowing letters Jack couldn't read, but somehow understood. He placed his hand on one of the panels. It lit up under his fingers. The ship responded like it knew him. Zira stepped beside him. This is not normal, she whispered. Jack gave a small nod. Nothing has been normal since I woke up. A soft voice echoed through the hallway. Not from speakers, but from everywhere. It spoke English. Pilot confirmed. Welcome. Zira froze. Did it just talk? Jack looked up, confused and tense. Yeah, and it thinks I'm the pilot. The hallway shifted. The walls retracted, revealing a staircase made of light. The ship was opening itself, one piece at a time, showing them the way. Come, Jack said, but Zira didn't move. This ship, she said, has never spoken. Not once, not to anyone, not in 300 years. Not in any language. Jack looked over his shoulder. Then why now? Zira shook her head slowly. Because you're human. They climbed the glowing steps. Every step felt like a test. The air grew warmer, the light softer. As they reached the next chamber, it opened into a wide circular room. It was beautiful. A sphere floated in the center, slowly turning, full of stars, maps, and symbols. It looked like a galaxy alive and spinning. Around it were chairs, old, but smooth, made for people, not for aliens. Jack walked to the center. When he stepped into the circle, the floating stars shifted. A small beam scanned him from head to toe. Access granted. The ship said again. Zira approached the edge of the platform, afraid to go closer. What is this place? Jack turned slowly. A command deck. I've seen something like this in Earth training simulations. But this is different, older, smarter. He sat in the center seat. The moment his body touched it, the stars stopped spinning. The room dimmed. Then the ship spoke again, this time in a softer tone, almost like a whisper. Flight mode ready. Destination required. Outside, sirens blared. Zira could hear them faintly, guards shouting, machines powering up. The entire city was in chaos. The council will try to break in, she said. They will use weapons. Jack looked at the floating map in front of him. His hand hovered over a glowing control. I don't know how to fly this, he said. The ship responded. You don't need to. You were born for it. Zira's eyes widened. What does that mean? Jack stared at the stars ahead of him. I don't know. He touched the center of the map. Suddenly, the entire ship shifted. A low hum filled the air. The floor trembled. Outside, the guards looked up in panic. The ancient ship, the one that hadn't moved for centuries, was lifting. Off the ground. Slowly, smoothly, silently, Zira stumbled, grabbing a railing. Are you flying it? Jack didn't answer. His eyes were fixed forward. The controls responded to his every breath, his thoughts, his pulse. Outside, the council screamed into radios, "Shut it down." Missiles launched. Too late. The ancient ship rose through the clouds like a ghost from another time. The missiles hit, but bounced off a golden shield that appeared just before impact. Zira looked at Jack in awe. This ship is alive. It's protecting itself. No, Jack said. Softly, it's protecting us. As the stars stretched out in front of them, the ship asked one final question. Destination, unknown. Searching, searching. Match found. A new point appeared on the map. A blinking star far away. A place lost in time. Jack stared at it. Where's that? Zira leaned in. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I don't know. It's not in our charts. The ship didn't wait. It jumped. In one blink, the stars warped and twisted. Time bent, and they were gone, alone in space. Flying into the unknown. Asterisk, the stars were no longer still. They twisted around the ship like rivers of light, bending, stretching, dancing in slow motion. Zira had never seen this kind of travel before. Her people called it impossible. But here they were riding a machine built by no one she knew, flown by a human who had no idea what he was doing. Jack sat in the pilot's seat, jaw tight, eyes locked on the map floating in front of him. It wasn't like any map from Earth. There were no names, no lines. Just dots, glowing, moving, living. The ship guided itself. Jack just listened. Zira stood beside him, hands gripping a metal bar for balance. Where are we going? She asked. Jack shook his head. The ship chose a location. Said it was a match. A match for what? He didn't answer. Suddenly, the ship slowed. Stars stopped bending. The room dimmed. Arrival in restricted sector. Warning, high threat. Before they could ask what that meant, the screen showed them something new, a massive field of floating. Metal broken ships, dead machines, a graveyard in space. Ships from different ages, different designs, some even similar to Earth's early space tech. All silent, all destroyed. Jack leaned forward. What is this place? Zira stepped closer to the display. A battlefield, she said, long forgotten. Then the ship spoke again. Incoming threat, 3 hostile signals. Preparing defense. The silence shattered. Outside, 3 alien ships appeared from the shadows. Sleek, sharp, and fast. Zelleran military ships. Zira's eyes widened. They followed us. They're not here to talk. Jack stood up. Can we outrun them? Zira pressed a panel. No, they're faster in short space. The ship didn't wait for orders. Panels opened around them. Lights shifted to red. Shields powered up. Outside, the enemy ships locked weapons. Jack could see it on the screen, 3 dots turning red. Targeting us, he said. Zira stared at the floating controls. I don't know how to fire anything. Jack looked at his hands. Neither do I, the ship answered them both. Defense mode active. Pilot instincts engaged. Without warning, the ship moved. Smooth, fast, alive. It spun through the graveyard like a bird through trees. Enemy fire shot past them, barely missing. One blast hit a broken cruiser and exploded behind them in white fire. Jack gripped the seat. As the controls lit up under his hands, symbols he didn't know started moving. His hands moved too, as if pulled by memory he didn't have. He fired. A beam of gold light shot forward and hit one of the attackers. No sound in space, but the ship vanished in a silent flash, Zira gasped. You hit it. I didn't even try. The other two ships circled, faster now, trying to trap them. Jack flew through the wreckage, turning the ship like he'd flown it 100 times. Second threat destroyed, the ship said. Only one. Attacker left. The most dangerous dot released a massive energy charge headed straight for them. Zira saw it on the screen. It's too big. The shield won't hold. Jack's heart pounded. What do I do? The ship whispered. Trust me. He closed his eyes. The ship spun, flipped upside down, and dove through the wreckage. The blast flew past, missing by inches. Jack opened his eyes just in time to press a symbol glowing bright red. A sphere of energy surrounded the enemy ship. Then it imploded, gone without a sound. Silence returned. The ship slowed, then hovered in the middle of the dead battlefield. Zira collapsed into a seat, breathing hard. How did you do that? Jack shook his head slowly. I didn't. It used me like I was the hands, but it had the memory. Zira looked at him, her voice quiet. You were born on Earth. This ship is older than my people. How does it know you? Jack looked at the center of the map. A new symbol appeared. A planet, hidden deep in the stars. No name, no route, but the ship glowed when it showed it. Destination confirmed. Origin site. Jack whispered. Origin of what? Zira stood. The ship, you, or both? No answer came, but the ship turned and flew again, not just through space now, but toward truth. And somewhere in the dark, someone or something noticed that the old war was not over. It had just begun again. The planet was not on any map. No signals came from it. No satellites circled it. No one claimed it. From a distance, it looked like a forgotten rock floating in space. But as the ship approached, it slowed down like it was returning home. Inside the cockpit, the lights dimmed to a soft blue. The ship was silent, but the air felt heavier, almost like it was holding its breath. Zira stood beside Jack. Her eyes were locked on the growing sphere in the distance. That place, she whispered, feels ancient. Jack didn't speak. He couldn't. Something in his chest, something deep was stirring. Not fear, not excitement. Recognition. He didn't know how or why. But the moment he saw the planet, something inside him whispered, you've been here before. But that was impossible. The ship landed slowly, gently, like a bird returning to its nest. It touched the ground without a sound. The hatch opened. No guards, no weapons, just wind and silence. Outside was a flat desert, gray soil, still air. A strange blue glow came from beneath the surface, like the planet had veins of light running through it. Jack stepped down first. The ground was warm, solid. Zyra followed, scanning the area with a small device. No life signs, she said. But there's power underground. A soft humming reached their ears. They turned. A structure rose from the ground nearby, tall, black, and shaped like a tower. It hadn't been there a minute ago. It grew out of the ground, Jack said. No, Zira replied. It woke up. They walked toward it slowly. As they got closer, a door slid open with a whisper. No buttons, no controls. It simply knew they were there. Inside was a small room. Empty, except for a round platform in the center. Stand here, the ship's voice echoed gently from Jack's wrist communicator. He stepped on. The room lit up with golden light. Symbols flew through the air faster and faster until they stopped and formed a shape. Human face. Old, kind, familiar. The face spoke. If you're hearing this, then one of us has finally returned. Zira stared. One of us? The voice continued. This ship, this planet, and this knowledge belonged to the first Skywalkers. Humans who left Earth before history began. We seeded knowledge across the stars. We built guardians, machines, and ships that would wait for our blood to return. Jack was frozen. I'm not from some ancient race, he said. "I'm just a pilot from Earth." The message replied, "You are more than that. You carry the spark. You are the key. And if you found this message, then the enemy has found it too." Zira looked at Jack. "What enemy?" "The tower trembled. The light dimmed. Suddenly, the sky outside turned red. Zira ran to the door. "Ships, many of them, Zalaran military. They followed us." Jack turned to the projection. "What do I do?" The voice answered calmly, "The ship remembers how to fight. But now it has someone to fight for." The tower went dark. Outside, the ancient ship lit up with new fire symbols across its hull, glowing brighter than ever. Jack and Zira sprinted back as explosions lit the sky. The ship's door opened before they reached it. As soon as Jack stepped inside, the engines powered up. He ran to the seat. Zira shouted over the sound of charging weapons. "There's too many of them." Jack looked at her, calm now. "Then we'll show them what they woke up." As the first enemy ship fired, the Ancient One rose again, not just with power, but with purpose. The truth was no longer buried. It was flying fast, alive and angry. The ship was quiet after the storm. Enemy ships had burned in the sky, one by one, falling like broken stars across the dead planet. The battle was over, but the war had just begun. Inside, Jack sat in silence, staring at the glowing map. His hands rested on the controls, but he wasn't flying. The ship was drifting calm, steady, listening. Zira stood behind him, arms crossed. Her mind racing. They had uncovered something dangerous. A truth bigger than both of them. The first humans had not only traveled the stars, they had left something behind. A legacy, a warning. And now Jack was at the center of it. The ship spoke. Quietly, transmission received. "Location, Earth." Zira turned. "Earth? Who sent it?" Jack checked the signal. "I did, earlier. I sent a ping from the ship before we jumped here. A simple message." Zira stepped forward, alarm in her voice. "You contacted Earth?" Jack nodded. "I had to. They need to know this place exists. What this ship is. What we found." She looked at him like he'd just made a deadly mistake. "You don't understand," she said. "The moment your people know this ship exists, they'll come for it. Not to protect it, to own it." Jack frowned. "They have a right to it." "No," Zira said coldly. "They have the power to take it, and no one else will stop them." Before he could answer, the ship beeped again. Another signal detected. Hidden, encrypted. Origin, Zalaran fleet. Jack stood. "Your people sent something." "Two?" Zira looked confused. "That can't be. No one else knows this frequency." The screen flashed. An image appeared. Zira's old mentor Elian, a powerful scientist, her teacher, her second father, and now her spy. The message played. "We tracked the girl. She leads us to the human. The ship follows them. Let them reach the origin point, then strike." Zira went pale. Her legs almost gave out. "No," she whispered. "He used me." Jack watched her carefully. "You didn't know?" She shook her head slowly. "I thought he trusted me. I told him things. About the ship. About you." Jack didn't say anything. Zira sat down, her hands trembling. "He waited until we were far enough. Now he's coming. With everything he has." Outside the windows, the stars shifted, and then they appeared. Dozens of ships. Sleek, black, full of weapons. The Zalaran armada. The ship sounded the alarm. Multiple hostiles. No time for hyperjump. Shields charging. Jack looked at Zira. "You have to leave." "What?" "I'll hold them off. You can escape. You didn't choose this fight." Zira stood, angry now. "Don't act like I'm weak. I chose this. I believed in this." He looked at her, softer now. "Then you know they'll try to kill me. Take this ship. Bury the truth again." Her voice cracked. Then don't let them. He smiled, just for a second. That's the plan. But before they could say more, the attack began. The ship shook violently. Blasts hit the shields like thunder. Zira ran to the console, pulling up defense systems. You fly, I'll fight. Jack hesitated. She looked at him, fire in her voice. I betrayed you without meaning to. Let me fix it. They moved together, this time not as strangers, but as a team. Missiles flew. Lasers lit the sky. The ancient ship dodged, blocked, returned fire, but it was outnumbered. Jack gritted his teeth. We can't hold this forever. Zira opened a hidden panel. Inside was something she hadn't seen before. A black sphere, glowing, alive. The ship spoke. Final protocol unlocked. Emergency core. Manual activation required. Zira looked at Jack. This is new. He stared at it. Or old. Very, very old. She reached for it. The ship spoke louder. Warning. Core pulse may destroy hostile fleet but damage ship systems permanently. Jack stared at the sky, enemy ships closing in, then looked at her. Do it. Zira closed her eyes and pressed her hand to the core. The sphere pulsed once, twice, then exploded in light. A ring of white energy burst from the ship like a wave, silent but devastating. Every enemy ship it touched froze, then shattered. In seconds, the sky was empty, but inside, the lights dimmed. The engines powered down. Jack slumped forward. What happened? The ship whispered, weak now, core defense successful. Systems failing. Zira reached for Jack, pulling him back. You're not dying here. He looked at her. We saved it, she nodded. Yes, but now we need to save you. The ship drifted slowly through space, wounded but not dead. And behind them, the truth they had uncovered was no longer a secret. The ship was broken, not destroyed, but breathing slower now, like a giant beast wounded in battle. Inside, the lights flickered. Walls pulsed dimly. Systems spoke in short, tired whispers. The glow that once danced across the control panels had faded into soft shadows. Jack lay unconscious in the co-pilot's seat. His breathing was shallow. His hands were burned from the core pulse. Zira sat beside him, her head down, her voice soft. Stay alive, she said. Please. Outside, the stars drifted slowly by. No more enemies, no more warships. Just silence. And space. She reached for the panel. Ship, she whispered. Are you still with me? The ship answered in a faint voice. Yes, power at 6%. Navigation offline. Pilot stable but weak. Zira looked at Jack's face. He had given everything, not for power, not for revenge. Just to stop the truth from being buried again. She looked at the galaxy map. It was still glowing faintly. One tiny blinking dot appeared, her homeworld. Zalara. She stared at it for a long moment, then tapped the screen. Set course. We're going back. The ship hesitated. Risk. High. Hostile. Territory. I don't care, she said. They need to see what we've seen. And so the ship turned. It limped through space, damaged but alive, carrying the last memories of a forgotten people and two beings from different worlds who had become more than strangers. 3 days later, the sky over Zalara cracked open. The ancient ship returned, burned, scorched, glowing with soft gold light. It didn't arrive with weapons. It didn't fire. It just hovered silently above the Capitol Tower, shining like a ghost from the past. The entire city stopped. People looked up in silence. They remembered the last time it flew, how it rose, how it vanished, and now, how it returned. Inside, Jack was still weak but awake. Zira helped him to his feet. You sure about this? He asked. She smiled. No, but we didn't come all this way to stay quiet. The doors opened. Zira and Jack stepped out, side by side. In that moment, for the first time in history, The Zalaran people saw a human not as a threat, but as a protector. Zira stood before the council. Her voice didn't shake. "We found the truth," she said. "Your lies are finished." She played the message from the tower, the face of the ancient human, the voice that told of peace, of exploration, of shared blood across stars. The people listened, and the world changed. Not quickly. Not all at once. But something broke that day, something old and rotten. And in its place, something new began to grow. Months later, the ship rested on a hill outside the city. Restored. Not as a weapon, but as a symbol. Children came to see it. Artists painted it. Historians studied it. And sometimes, late at night, the golden lights would glow softly, like the ship was dreaming. Inside, Zira and Jack sat together in the cockpit. "It still listens to you," Zira said, smiling. Jack nodded. "But now it listens to you too." She raised an eyebrow. "Me?" He stood and offered her the pilot's seat. She hesitated, then sat. The lights responded. The walls hummed. Zira's eyes widened. "It knows me now," she whispered. Jack smiled. Maybe it wasn't waiting for just a human. Maybe it was waiting for the right ones. Zira looked out at the stars. "Where do we go next?" Jack sat beside her, wherever the stars are ready to remember. The ship pulsed. In the sky opened.